and the All Indiana Podcast Network. This is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Jenkins, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 Podcast for Thursday, September 5th. We begin with an update to a story we brought you as breaking news yesterday on Wish TV. 35-year-old IMPD officer Kamal Bola, a 6-year veteran in the Southwest District, has been arrested on a preliminary charge of child molestation involving a child under the age of 14. Right now, we aren't sure when Bola will be formally charged, but Chief Chris Bailey has suspended the officer and recommended he be fired. One woman who helps train law enforcement to interact with youth says systems can be improved.
We have to be vigilant. We have to, again, ensure that we have excellent training, very thorough background vetting, and ongoing supervision, reinforcing of acceptable conduct with swift, severe responses when conduct goes sideways.
Officer Bola's arrest is only a few weeks after IMPD Sergeant Javed Richards' arrest on child pornography charges. Both Richards and Bola's arrests come months after another IMPD officer, Paul Humphrey, was charged with having a sexual relationship with a minor. A new update in the Delphi Murders case that could deliver a blow to the defense's strategy. There will be limits on what attorneys for suspect Richard Allen can say at his upcoming trial. I-Team8's Cody Fisher reports.
At trial, the defense team will not be allowed to talk about odinism, ritualistic killings, or any of the 9 people they're pointing the finger at as the people who killed Abby Williams and Libby German.
His order from Judge Gold was a complete loss for the defense, and it comes after all the confessions are being allowed in. They're looking to be in a really tough position for this trial.
Wednesday's ruling by Judge Gold said the defense team's theory that other people killed Abby and Libby during an odinism ritualistic killing did not meet the legal threshold to be allowed at trial.
In order to present a third-party defense, such as odinism or anything else for that matter, you have to show some sort of a connection between your theory and the actual crime.
Anya Kane and Kevin Greenlee of the Murder Sheet podcast told me there is a good reason why the legal threshold is so high for that type of defense.
What you're essentially doing is accusing other people of the murder and labeling them as child murders. So we can imagine why there is a high threshold. If I'm an attorney, I can't just go into court and say, maybe Bigfoot did it.
This ruling may free Richard Allen's attorneys to have a more traditional defense strategy.
The defense does not need to prove Richard Allen innocent. They only need to raise enough reasonable doubt.
Based on testimony in court, Kane and Greenlee think the defense team could try and focus on cell phone records from one of the girls. In court, the defense focused on the phone connecting to a cell phone tower early in the morning and receiving a lot of text messages.
If the girls were still alive at 4:33 a.m. or if the killer was there with them at 4:33 a.m., then the killer couldn't have been Richard Allen, because Richard Allen was at home in bed with his wife at that time, presumably.
Richard Allen's defense team can appeal this ruling before the trial. The host of the Murder Sheet podcast said the defense could also choose to postpone the trial in October to come up with a new defense. For I-Team8, I'm Cody Fisher for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook for updates.
When it comes to sports, the fever is hot. The team beat the Los Angeles Sparks last night, 93-86. It comes one day after securing a spot in the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. That means for the first time since 2015, the team has won 5 straight games. Caitlin Clark also hit a milestone of 100 three-pointers in a season and got her second career triple-double in the game. And speaking of Caitlin Clark, it is her 3rd Rookie of the Month this season and her first Conference Player of the Month award. Clark averaged 24 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds per game during the month of August. Also, Fever head coach Christy Sides is taking home the league's Coach of the Month award after the Fever went 5-1 last month. While Caitlin Clark and Coach are getting a thumbs up from their peers, Indiana Fever president Allison Barber says she will step down at the end of this season. Barber has held this position since 2019. She now plans to lead the Marvella Project. It's an effort to empower girls and women in the state through sports.
I hate that she's leaving us, but my gosh, what she's doing is incredible. I mean, what she's going to do is something that's not, there's nothing like it. I don't think, from what she said, in the country, and she's going to get to grow it like she wants to grow it, and it's going to just benefit women and girls in every sport.
You just heard from head coach Christy Sides there. The Fever hit the court again tomorrow at home against Minnesota. Tip-off is at 7:30. When it comes to the weather, Storm Track 8 says we're taking a short break from the fall feels, but no worries. Those cooler temps will be back this weekend. Meteorologist Marcus Bailey has your News 8 Daily 8 forecast.
The humidity is a little more elevated. Kind of noticed that yesterday afternoon. We will build on that at least throughout the day today. Right now, we are the warm spot in Indianapolis at 69. We're actually matching that over in Muncie as well. Kokomo 64, Bloomington 65, as is Greencastle and Lafayette. Mainly clear. There may be some high, thin clouds kind of overhead, but outside of that, we're in pretty good shape here for this morning. The hour-by-hour forecast, which you can get on the Storm Track 8 weather app, it's going to be a warm one here. I think we're going to be knocking on the door of 90 degrees later on this afternoon. No precip chances. Comes with a ton of sunshine, and the winds are relatively light, so that's not going to be really mixing the air up much. Of course, you can download that app for free if you want to scan the QR code right there. You may need it with some rain opportunities coming our way for tomorrow across our area. Today's high, making it up close to 90. I don't know if we quite get there. I'm going to go with a high of 89. You're not going to get a big separation between air temperature and feels like temperature, maybe around 90 degrees at worst. And the record is safe, 100 set back in 1954, so nowhere close to that. I mentioned that things get a little more active tomorrow. I don't think it's the same as last week, where we're going to be dealing with, strong thunderstorms and delays, but we may have to dodge a few raindrops for parts of our Friday. For some of you, it could be very early Saturday morning as well, and this is all going to usher in some pretty significant changes coming our way temperature-wise. We'll talk about it in my 7-day forecast coming your way in just a few minutes.
To get a peek at the full forecast, just head over to wishtv.com, or you can download the Wish TV Storm Track 8 app. And don't forget to check out our Storm Track 8 weather blogs. Let's wrap things up on a lighter note. Gabriel Abbott, an 8th grader in Carmel, wants to be the youngest person to run 100 miles on a trail. He's only 12 years old, but says he's been running since he was 8. His longest race so far is about 42 miles, but now he's taking on the Woodstock 100-mile trail race in Michigan. He will have 30 hours to complete the 100-mile course. Gabriel says his father, also a runner, is his inspiration.
My dad came up to me one day and he was like, "Hey, if you do this when you're 12 years old, you can get a world record."
Gabriel's race starts at 2 tomorrow afternoon. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 podcast for Thursday, September 5th. I'm Jeremy Jenkins for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go, connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.